Did it record? Oh, it did. It was going. It usually shows it up here, but anyways, I'll take that out.
What do you think?
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
But we can cut this. I can cut this front end out, but. All right. I'm gonna take a breath then since we're. All right.
We've been thinking. Love y'all.
Hey y'all. I'm V, and this is Uncle Snap, and we've been thinking, and today is National Pig in a Blanket Day.
It is.
It is, and I kind of wish I had some pigs in a blanket, to be honest.
That would be good.
Yeah, it's Sunday, also, so you know, in case you watch this tomorrow.
Yeah, praise God.
And it's also Pet Parent Day.
Pet Parent
Day. Yeah.
Well, aren't you just full of...
And you know what I found out when I realized that was that Audrey Hepburn...
So you didn't let me finish my story. You're just full of...
well...
More information.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
So Audrey Hepburn was one of the first celebrities to start carrying around her dog with her everywhere. I think it said it was like some kind of terrier, I believe.
Actually, I saw that on Facebook. Actually.
Did you? Okay, yeah. So, which kind of like brought that idea of like, you know, pets being family. And I also read that when they asked her why she took her dog everywhere with her, she said she walked her dog to, keep her fit, to help keep her fit.
Right.
And she talked to her dog to help keep her sane.
Yeah. Well, I can understand that. Yeah. Better than talking to yourself.
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But go ahead.
So it's funny that you said that, talking to yourself, because like there's this thing you can do where like you kind of sit down and do this and you record yourself and you talk to yourself about like a situation or a problem that you've got, because like you know all the answers, like you've got all the answers to your problems, but sometimes you can't pull them out of yourself, you know. So yeah. And I've never tried that, but I've wanted to try that with some, you know, like to use it in that way.
Yeah. Then you can turn around and talk to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
No, I don't find that to be very odd, but
it's very interesting, I thought.
Yeah.
So okay, but I have been thinking.
Okay, wait a minute before we go. I have no idea what the topic is for today, because I told Thee yesterday that I've had something on my mind, but it was heavy, and I wasn't.
Yeah, and
I
we
wasn't
wanted
sure
to get
I was
away
able
from
to
some
pull
heavy
it,
topics
right,
for a while
and
anyway.
I wasn't sure I could pull it off anyway. Yeah. And by the way, so if you notice me sniffling, or you know, sneezing or scratching or clawing or anything, I guess I've had some allergies the past couple of days. I've been sneezing a lot and all that.
Have you ever had allergies that much?
No, I've never had allergies in my life.
That happened to me whenever I was living in a different part of the state. 1 year, and it hasn't really happened that bad since then, and it must have been something that was in that area. But my eyes were just like itching like crazy, and I was like, I could not. And my boyfriend at the time was like, it's allergies. And I was like, what? I was like, I don't have allergies, because I've never had allergies. And he was like, well, that's what it is. He was like, that's why your eyes are all itchy and
I've lived here for years.
I know,
so
that's...
Yeah, it's odd. And I can only assume that
maybe there's a new
they've invented some new allergies.
Here we go with your conspiracy
theories.
Conspiracy.
Yes. Yeah, they've invented some new ones because everybody didn't have them. So,
they must have introduced some new plants.
No, I'm just joking. I don't want to make a lot of people with allergies, because I know some who really suffer with that. And struggle with it. But that being said, look at our background.
My one encounter with it was not fun, so I totally Because I used to think that before that happened to me, I used to be like, oh, allergies, you have allergies. Like,
yeah,
okay.
Really, whatever, yeah.
But I had never, right perspective, I had never dealt with that.
Right.
So I didn't know really how bad it could be, and it was terrible. Kind of like the first time I had heartburn. I felt like I was having a heart attack. Like, it was got real tight in my chest. I was like, what is that like? Austin was like, it's heartburn. And I was like, ugh. He's like, you just need like a Tums. And I was like, oh my gosh. Now I feel bad for always people complaining about their heartburn and thinking like, that can't be that bad.
Yeah, for all you people out there with allergies, for gosh sakes, just, how long you gonna milk this whole allergy thing?
No, they're terrible.
No, I know. I have friends who really suffer from it, and I don't mean to make light of it, but I just thought I'd make that joke. But look at our background.
Yeah, you wanted to sit outside today, and it's funny that you didn't know anything that I was going to want to talk about, because that will tie into what Friday was Earth Day.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yes.
Is it? Okay.
Of course it was. Yes. No, yeah, it's
So yeah, we were gonna talk about that at some point. So yeah.
So see now, here we go.
What?
Down a heavy.
How is Earth Day heavy?
I'm toting this heavy load of.
That's not even my main topic for today.
Oh, okay. Well, let's move on to something light
I was gonna
and exciting.
I didn't know Earth Day was a heavy topic.
No, it's not. Well, I mean, it can be if you, if you want to fight about it.
I guess if we want to make it like
people
political, but I'm not.
Yeah, let's not.
That is not what I'm gonna do, or how I want to
This
talk
is
about.
our Earth Day, right? Look at that. Look.
Yeah.
Isn't that beautiful? I mean, my gosh. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Who live in the city,
Yeah, this is.
I know. For some people, that's your thing, and if it is, that's cool.
And if you hear tweeting in the background, it's not a dead battery in a smoke detector.
Yeah, no,
it's gonna be a bird.
Yeah, or something.
Yeah.
There's been a hoot owl over there close to our house.
Yeah,
Yeah. They sound so pretty.
But go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking since the last time we talked, because you were talking about, older people and their wisdom and stuff like that. And so it got me thinking these last couple of weeks. And I don't know why I didn't bring it up at the time. I guess because I was just, listening and taking in your perspective. And but we do agree that age does not equal wisdom.
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
Okay, so
age equals life experiences. Now, what you do with that is a whole different thing.
Right.
But, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And also just about, because then Austin and I kind of talked, I was talking to him about it, and he was like, yeah, well, it's the older generation can also learn from the younger generation. It is a balance of.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, yeah, I just wanted to throw that.
Yeah, great. No, that's a great point.
There.
Yeah. Because, it would be the natural extension of an older person's life experiences and the feeling of wisdom, which they probably have some degree of.
Right.
But it would be a natural extension for them to somehow think that they know it all.
Right.
And that you don't know anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's totally wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's odd that you mentioned that, because what was so heavy on my mind last night that I told V I wasn't ready to talk about actually grew out of a conversation with a wonderful young black girl that I love dearly, and we got into a conversation about slavery.
Mm-hmm.
And racism, and I'm not even going. But I it's odd that because she's very young, and she gave me a perspective that my whole life had gone all the way over my head. But when she said it,
and understandable, because you
Right.
That was not your perspective. You
right.
had never.
Right. And
right.
So it's odd that you say that, because that's what spurred my thoughts.
Yeah.
To have that heavier conversation, but for another time. I do want to come back to that, but for another time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to talk about the wisdom that sometimes I don't know if I would consider myself like a young generation, but younger than your generation, my parents' generation and stuff like that. I think that sometimes parents forget that they can also learn things from their children. I think a lot of times, and not to their fault, right? Because they're only doing as best as they can, and what they know and how they were growing up. But I feel like a lot of people my parents' age, y'all were raised by a generation where kids were just, they sat down and they shut up, and they were to be seen and not heard, and speak only when you're spoken to, and your opinion didn't really matter, and you didn't, you were.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm right, you're wrong, I'm the parent. I have all the wisdom, I know everything, kind of mindset, I guess. And they were only doing what had, the best that they could do from what had been, how they had been raised, That's it. So, but it's just interesting to think about, to sit and think about.
It is, and but that should change at a certain age, where you can't, when you've raised a child, you've got to realize at some point you've done the best you could to raise that child, and where that child, goes beyond that point of control or imparting of world lessons and stuff, is out of your control, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you continue to hammer on things that you see, or I know this is something that you'll understand, if you continue to hammer on those things that you see as unfit or you risk alienating that child.
Yeah.
Because you can't let it go. You know what I mean?
Right.
The adult,
the control, or the
control. You can't let it go. You feel like you've continually got to be raising that child, and
right.
you reach
There's
a
no
point,
room for them to really flex their resilience.
At some point
muscles,
you've done all you can, and then you need to, you've got to let them go and let them grow, and mistakes will be made, and prayers will be said, and hearts will be broken, and nights will be sleepless, but that's what that tends to be the relationship between the young and the old. And, that's crazy.
And I really try, I think I've said before, how I feel like we're here to sort of be mirrors to each other at times,
Yeah.
And I feel like
Perfect
now
example.
being a mother, that's what our children are, is they're, if you pay attention, she teaches me lessons every day about myself even, like I noticed sometimes, I guess, that I gotta watch myself whenever I get frustrated about something, and I'm like, because I hear her doing it, and I know that the only place she got it from is me or Austin, because that's where she's learning everything. She's picking up our behavior, and so, when she loves on her dolls, that makes me feel good, because I know that we're loving on her. You know what I mean? Like that she's picking up that also. An
expression of love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but also with the opposite, she can also reflect some of my negative behaviors back to me that maybe I need to be a little introspective about, and,
Very good point.
Yeah, and not passing down my, unknowingly, honestly. I think because I think a lot of our parents passed down things like that to us not realizing like how much. I think because we learn more and more all the time, right? And how much of an impact like parents do have on their children and in so many aspects of their life, especially when they're so young and they're in those primary stages of life, you know.
Most impressionable.
Yeah.
And you can, you know, the negatives. Oh, where that car thing is coming from? Ain't nobody within a quarter mile here. But anyway, but yeah, that's a great point. Is, you know, just the least of our negative characteristics can so easily, positive
defects.
And negative, can be so easily imparted to our children without even us having a
and so
having a clue
so quickly, you know what I mean? Because all it takes is for me to one time be like, ugh, and I've heard her, and I can hear her do it.
Yeah,
you know, like
good point. That's a great point. Yeah, parenting advice.
And a point, actually, a friend of mine and I last night were talking.
Because I'm the king of parenting,
friends.
But go ahead.
But
I've wanted to kill her husband. Actually plotted it several times. So. No, praise God, everything worked out. But go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was like, hopefully not any time recently.
No.
Because that means I have to plot on you, Don.
Yeah,
Don't be coming for my husband.
That would be pre-V.
Okay.
Before your presence in our lives. So, yes. What a blessing you are and have been to us. Praise God.
Thank you. And you as well to me in my life.
Yeah.
Y'all, all y'all, our family, yeah. So, what were we just talking about? I got all in my I was talking about Joanna, I said her name. Well, my friend and I, nobody will know who she is except for maybe some people that we know that will see this.
Jay.
She and I were talking, and I was talking about how, you know, you hear a lot of times people will say, well, you can't give parenting advice, you're not a parent, you know what I mean? But if you kind of sit and think about it, from which I've thought about, because before I was a parent, I thought I kind of maybe had some good parenting advice, and almost that everyone does, even if you've never been a parent, because we've all been a child,
right?
You know,
right.
So therefore, we do all know how, whether we've, you know, sat and really thought about it or not, we do all know how our parents can have an effect, you know, on our lives. So, so maybe don't tell people that don't have children that they don't have anything good to say about parenting, because I feel like children probably do have some of the best parenting advice. I mean, just
that's an
sitting here thinking, and I've never even thought of it in that, and said that out loud, that children would have some of the best parenting advice. But
what a mirroring concept that is.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I mean, everybody's been a kid.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
and maybe I can't tell you the best or what exactly to do, but maybe I can tell you what not to do, you know, or
what I felt, or what I needed, or what I...
Right, in a similar situation, or something like that, you know.
Right. Or the things that helped in their life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like good, bad, all of it. It's I guess that's just the beginning of the life experience. Is where the older you get, you tend to think you've seen it all, done it all, and you probably have, but that don't mean you can forget what.
Right, and also it doesn't mean, like you said, you were talking to that young lady.
Yeah.
You know, you've also never had that experience.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. This is a perfect play on what
Yeah.
On what I was thinking about last night, but because it's the same thing. I was listening to her. She's, wise beyond her years.
Yeah.
And T, and I was just when it hit me, I said, my gosh, I never have even looked at it that way. I mean,
right.
But anyway.
Yeah, and kind of like maybe having that sort of more, I guess, open mindset kind of helps me not, I guess, be so defensive when people offer up advice of any kind. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And
that's funny.
And
I swear this is a mirror of the conversation I had with T yesterday. It was like,
isn't that funny how that happens though? That's signs. That's a sign.
It's like, it was.
It's serendipitous.
It was no. If she understood everything I was saying, and I understood everything she was saying, and
because she could understand how you would never think about that, because that was not your perspective.
Absolutely.
Because you've lived your life as a white man.
Right.
You know.
Right. And knowing that, there is no hate in my heart. We could have that conversation.
Right. And maybe that's kind of the whole point, right? Is like, and the whole point of kind of what we're doing is like, let's just come to the table and sit and talk about
Absolutely.
Like, without our egos, without getting defensive, and just really trying to see the other person's perspective.
Right. Well, being defensive.
Because if we can't be here and learn, I mean, if we are all extensions of of God, then we're all pieces of the same thing. We're all pieces of each other. Then, of course, it's all connected in everything, in nature. You know what I mean? We're connected to that too. Like, so why wouldn't we need each other's perspective, and for someone else to lay it out for us, because we're only living our perspective. I need to talk to you about what yours is to understand. Right. I can't just assume, and you can't assume to know how I feel, you know? Yeah. Yeah,
it was, this conversation was not defensive or offensive to either one of us.
Yeah, and that's...
And that was so refreshing, and after that conversation, I just, I said, I was just impressed with her words and her concept, and just a perspective that I had never really looked at it from, but enough of that. Thank you to her. She's a very special young woman, and I love interacting with her.
Yeah, and we will revisit that topic.
Yes,
sure,
let's do that, because it's important, especially seemingly in these days.
Yeah.
When everybody seems to be telling us how bad all of us are, and how, you know what I mean, and how.
Yeah.
And that was a perfect example of that in that conversation yesterday. There was no hate, no distrust, it was exchange of ideas and perspectives, and it was, it was touching, and anyway.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So what else? I'm a busy man.
Okay, so
I gotta cut all these trees before the sun goes down. No, I'm just joking.
Also, I've heard through the grapevine that you don't like to cut a tree if you don't have to.
Oh, no. So. I'm not a tree hugger, but I'm a tree lover. My daddy had sawmills, and we cut lumber and cross ties and timbers, and that's okay, because that's a crop provided to us by God for us to use, and try to replenish, and
And to be
but
respectful
I love
and
shade.
thankful of.
We live in Mississippi, for gosh sakes.
Yeah.
Who would not love a shade
Some
tree
shade,
in Mississippi? You know what I mean?
Yeah. If there's one thing they've ever always accurately portrayed in movies about Mississippi or that take place in Mississippi, it's the heat and
It's
the hot
heat
and the hot. It
and
may not be.
humidity.
We
Yeah.
don't talk that. Well, he's from Alabama originally,
lower
so
Alabama,
they do talk real country.
Yeah.
No.
And I like it.
Yeah, I do too. To be honest, I always feel like mine's a mixture of like a Texas and a Southern accent. I don't know. I don't really know. I feel like I have a mixture.
Yeah. Well, most people do to some degree.
But did you know that some people are like more susceptible to accents? Like if they go and visit somewhere, like that they're more susceptible to like pick up.
Yeah.
That accent.
I think that's
I'm
normal.
one of those people.
Yeah. I think that's normal. Unintentionally, it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when I go visit.
And sometimes intentionally because subliminally maybe you want to fit in. You want. Yeah. And don't.
But that also reminds me of something else that I learned one time, which was that there was like a study that these people were doing. I heard it on a podcast, and it was about your voice and about how they can, obviously, if they listen and you were in an experiment, they could listen to your voice, and depending on who you're talking to, every person, like your voice sounds a little different, like, and it's different when you talk to people that you don't know on the phone, like. And that after studying people, like they could tell by the sound of their voice whether they were talking to their dad or their sister or their brother
I
or.
can see that.
Yeah, it was super interesting.
Yeah. It's brings up the point where the hurricane comes through in Mississippi and national news shows up. Well, I've always found it odd that
the people they find to interview.
It's like but then again, they
and not just here, really everywhere. Like it's like everywhere. They always find the worst.
Yeah.
Like it's not even just here. I
no,
feel like
it's not. And
like anywhere
in retrospect, you're actually right. That it's like
anywhere there's
and out
something
of
like
wind,
that.
I come from over yonder and I was
Took
trying
my
to get to the
cheeseburger.
hen house and get them eggs and and all of this. But then again, you have no idea about what that person's level of intelligence is just because they speak in a manner that you find odd,
that's
country,
so true. Yes.
that you find it. Well, that must, bless her heart. She must be. What, third grade educated or something?
Please do not mistake a draw for unintelligent.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is funny because I watched a whole video about that one time and about how people, do that, will mistake, but that people, how when people speak with a Southern accent, people automatically assume that they are less educated.
Right.
Like.
Or intelligent.
Yeah.
I actually sometimes, especially when I get around people who think they're something, they're all that.
Yeah.
I'll actually
looking down
talk,
their nose at you.
Yeah, I'll actually talk more country.
Yeah.
And draw them into a conversation where I can bust them out for their lack of intelligence. You know what I mean? Like come on, play with.
Yeah.
Let's
have a conversation.
With me. I'm and then they get to trying to feel all good about themselves, and then I'll just cut them down with a couple of sentences. You know what I mean? Because I have the level of intelligence to do that.
Yes.
So don't.
And that's on them.
Don't assume.
That's
on them. Yeah. Don't assume anything about me because
right.
I can tear you up with some words.
That's
I'm telling you. Yeah.
You do have a very extensive vocabulary. I will.
I think more of myself than I am.
And
but honestly, I told you how busy I am.
Talking with you always makes me pull out bigger words in my vocabulary. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it makes me dig through my vocabulary for bigger words and and
not that it matters that
no,
it's the woman in the hurricane interview. That's fine too. You know what I mean? But if you're gonna cut me down because of the way I talk, then be prepared because I can leave you laying on the floor in a pile of words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that quote, what is it? Do not mistake my kindness for weakness.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because, the rest of it's something like, basically that if you're unkind to like me and mine, like the last thing that you will see is weakness. Like kindness does not equal weakness.
Right.
Like, which is another one of those sayings. It's been around for a long time.
Yeah. There's a reason for them.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to suggest I draw people in so I can, cut them up with words. I was just saying it's, somehow fitting sometimes when you. When somebody
but also that they assume that they could, what I mean? That they probably could out-word you or out-smart
more
you
intelligent,
in a conversation.
And if I do that, before I leave, I'm gonna shake their hand. I'm gonna say, I love you. You know what I mean? I enjoyed talking with you, and just make them feel better about yourself. You know what I mean? Don't leave them in a pile on the floor. Pick them back up.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Golly, have I told you how busy I am?
Yeah, because it's okay for us to teach each other lessons. Yeah. As long as we give each other a little love, too.
Yes, absolutely.
No, okay, but Earth Day, what I was going to talk about. Now, I know you're not a tree hugger. We're not making this political. It's not a thing. We don't have to talk about...
No, it's good. It's just...
But, okay, and because you always talk about saving the world, all right? Now,
yeah, saving the world.
So I want to see you walk the walk, all right? What are you doing to help save the world? So what I want to know is, like, if there were things that you could do, like... that wouldn't involve a lot of effort on your part, right? That would help you contribute to the environment. Would you be open to things like that? Like, for example, okay, I do have an example for you. There is a local woman who has a business, and you can sponsor a beehive, or you can host a beehive, and they will bring a beehive out, somewhere out here to your land, close to you. If you had a garden too, and you wanted to have pollinators close by, they would bring a hive to you. If you sponsored it, it's on some other land, that maybe has been purchased for them to do that, or on someone else's land, who's okay with having it done. But you don't have to. They'll come and upkeep it and do everything. It's just on your land, and you're just helping have.
I think that's a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, my daddy had 2 or 3 beehives when I was a kid.
Yeah. And they'll do it where they'll teach you also alongside you, while they're doing it. But they come out here and do all that for you, and you get a discount on honey.
It's crazy. I was just talking to my other son and his wife, D and N. Anyway, I was telling them how I've been sneezing and all that. And Natalie, she said, "Well, y'all want to take some of my local honey? I've been taking it, and because that's the antihistamine. That's the natural antihistamines in the honey. So, and she said, we just had that conversation, and she said it worked. She took it 2 or 3 days, and her allergies were gone.
Yeah, from the same company she makes, and we have taken it before, bee propolis, which is like, it's like a whole kind of like process that they do, and they take that they do, I guess, with like the pollen and the honey, but it's basically like just a little like supplement.
They extract it from the honey.
Yeah, and I can't remember the whole process, but and you take it, and it helps with because you have the local plants, all that's in there, and so it helps you with your allergies and anything like that.
It's the natural antihistamines to the things that you're allergic to.
Speaking of honey, I talked to this woman. We're just full of fun facts today, but I talked to this woman one time. I had a conversation with her, and she told me that her daddy, every time he got hurt, because they had like a farm, like farmland and stuff like that, and that growing up, anytime he got hurt, like cut, anything like that, burn, he would go and he would just slather some honey on it, and it always worked. And that she would do that, growing up, like to her children and stuff like that, like she would do that. And that obviously, like local honey, like, is the best Kind of not like from the grocery
because
store. Not the processed kind
because that comes from the plants that are growing in around you. And, and likely, putting it on a wound, it likely contains
also just buy local honey
natural
because
antibiotics.
I watched a documentary and there's like a whole thing about honey and honey like in the grocery store from other like produced honey, like how some of it that comes over from China, like it's not actual honey, like they've tested it and they've put it with filler, and so it's like basically like cane sugar or like that's just a little bit of honey, like the percentage of honey that's in the bottle is not a lot, and that happens with a lot of different like products and stuff like that, what I mean, like
processed foods.
Yeah, but I'm saying like there's all kinds of.
Well, they take cane syrup, which will be thin. They add some thickeners.
Yeah.
And some honey flavorings, and
they'll put a little bit of honey in there.
Yeah, a little bit of honey, and so they can call it all natural.
Yeah.
And, a story for another.
Yeah,
day.
for
processed foods. And I eat them like a crazy man. But
I'm trying to get him to eat better, y'all.
Yeah. But the
Speaking
honey,
of
the
old, learning from the young, you need to take.
Yeah. But I would really love to do the beehive.
Okay, because I really, that's what I wanted. If there were things like that you could do that I could put you onto, would you be willing to do stuff like that?
Yeah, or I would be willing to allow you to do it.
Yeah, to oversee it?
Yeah, and support you in any way I can.
Okay.
No, I would love to do it. They actually have government programs where, you can take, if you got, like, you cut timber or something.
Yeah.
They'll pay a large percentage to come in there, clean the property up, plant it in flowering plants that are good for bees and birds and all that, and because actually they're the bee population is actually probably not endangered, but it's the chemicals, pesticides and all that
it's had an effect
and
a
they
real
are
effect
the
on the bee population. They are
they are the key to the
I've seen a quote before: "Save the bees, save the world."
Like, to the food chain. They are that important. And,
absolutely.
I'd love to do that. Yeah. Let's do that. Okay. All right. We'll keep you informed. We'll put a beehive.
Ooh, then we could do a video where we like show them the
beehive. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. And we'll put like things.
Well, what made me think of that was that real quickly was that I had seen this video of this girl and she was talking about, being more conscious of the environment and stuff like that, and why are we not talking about it? Like, why aren't there more people talking about it and stuff like that? Just everyday people, I guess, on everyday platforms like this. And she was like, and I know that some of y'all are gonna ask me in the comments, like, well, like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing to help? And she lives in Florida, and she's buying land in Florida to either conserve, and also like on some of it she's going to do a butterfly garden, and she is, and she was making the point that like, no, it's not everything. I'm not doing everything. Nobody can do everything.
Right.
Like, but if we all just do a little bit, like we can reverse some of everything's not just shot to shit. Excuse my language.
No.
You know what I mean? Like we can turn it back in the other direction. We can swing the pendulum back the other way, like in the same way that we got it this far. We can.
Yeah, and that would be a much better way to help the environment is, encouraging people to do those kind of things rather than to treat people in a punitive manner.
Right. Let's just sit down at the table and have a conversation about it.
Somebody else can decide what's the best thing.
Right.
Let's
all do our part. Yeah.
All right.
So, are you done? You good?
I'm good. I'm done.
The sun's going down too,
I just heard my phone ring, and that's that $1 billion deal I know is coming through. I got to get back in there and get back to them, or not.
Yeah.
Probably Elon Musk calling, but.
Is he going to space today?
No. Oh. Well,
maybe.
Possibly.
Maybe.
And I was going to say, when I said that about earlier about they invented a new allergy. I said, well, I was going to say backtrack. I was going to say, well, it's probably some of those due to some of these exotic plants that I planted around here the past few years.
Yeah.
That are coming.
They're thriving.
They're thriving, and that's probably where my new allergies came from. So, but
they were your own making.
Yeah.
All right. We love y'all. Love you. We love y'all, and we will see y'all next time. Talk to y'all next time. Like, comment, share. Take what you can. Leave what you can't. As always, we love you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love you.
All right. See y'all.
Bye.